Hello, good afternoon or good evening. Thank you for joining me for one of these Magic the Gathering box openings, but not so much a box opening per se as another Secret Lair. And in particular, this is just going to be a lot of the disparate ones that had come out. The Edge of Eternities one that launched aside the set there, as well as the Central American fundraiser one, and then lastly, the bigger of them, the Sonic ones there. So we're just going to be looking over the arts, the cards there, and seeing what sort of stuff is about them there, if they were kind of worth getting and whatnot there. So let's start off with the Edge of Eternity ones there. Up first is this Alien Auroras one, which, okay, my bad. I got the wrong side for opening up there. Oh my, this is a new one there, very glitchy for it there. Get that, and get this one as well. That's kind of one that I think that we've seen before. Alrighty. Get these open up real quick to be able to get into them there. No clue if these have got special cards in the back or if it's just going to be the a random one like the zombies or the elves or whatnot there. But first up, we're going to get Reprocess, which is going to be 2 double black sorcery with sacrifice any number of artifacts, creatures, and or lands, and you draw a card for each permanent sacrifice this way. Now, because this started off with black, I'm assuming that this is probably supposed to be good upgrades maybe for the Jund commander deck, because it deals a lot with sacrificing lands, bringing them back, and being able to draw a card for each of them seems pretty nice there. So starting off with one there. Up next, we're going to get a little bit of aggressive mining. 3 and a red for an enchantment with you can't play lands, but you can sacrifice a land and draw 2 cards. You can activate only once each turn there. So, I mean, if you've gotten really, really into the depths there of playing a bunch of your lands and you don't feel like you really need to do a whole lot more, or you've got maybe a lot of lander tokens there so that you're able to sack them and fetch the lands because you don't play them. You're just, you're just putting them onto the battlefield. You're not playing them there. You know, it depends. I've never really been a fan of this card here, though. I mean, drawing 2 cards just by sacking a land might be what you want to do. To be fair, you could tap the land, use it for its mana before you sack it there. So, hey, and I mean, like, you can also use this on opponents' turns there. So all in all, you could get back to yourself. And if you've got all of your opponents there, you could have potentially drawn 8 cards. So, I mean, maybe I could get a little bit more synergy with it there. We'll see. Up next up, we're going to have the Sylvan Safekeeper there. 1 green for a 1/1 human wizard with sack a land, and target creature you control gains Shroud until end of turn there. Again, it really does feel like, I mean, we've only gotten Jund cards. This really feels like another one there with this whole sacrificing land effect. You essentially give something a little bit of protection there until end of turn so that they can't be targeted. All in all, I like this one as a little bit of an upgrade to that deck there because it does have that whole sacrificing a land. You get the benefits, but there are ways to bring it back there. And up next, well, what do you know? This is literally the card that I said, you know, for that deck, I think is going to be the most influential. Crucible of Worlds. 3 mana for an artifact that lets you play lands from your graveyard. It's just like, how did I know that this was going to be like the card that you want to put into it there? It's just, it's the card there, playing lands from your graveyard. I mean, the only other thing would be like Lord Windgrace that you might want to put extra in there of like getting your lands back and using them and whatnot there, because it's also Jund. But my goodness, like, this is an amazing card for them to be able to put into it there. So absolutely fantastic to put in there. Now, let me actually just take a second there. I find it very funny that it says that these are galaxy foil, but oh, it's so faint and it there. I can barely see it. I'm not sure if you're able to see it on your end, but the only place that I'm really able to see it is in these lighter zones like this green and the river here, but I can't see it anywhere else on the card there. I thought for a second there that for whatever reason mine weren't galaxy foiled, but they are. But Crucible of Worlds, definitely probably the best card to get in this one here, and probably where a bunch of its value is going to be. But I don't have one, so hey, you know, now I've got a couple there, as well as no, I did not get any extra for this one here. But you know, I've got one that I could put in that deck if I want to do an upgrade for it, or you know, if I just want to make my own version. I've got 2 copies. And the last one that we're going to have here is a little bit of Zurin Orb. And this is the first one where I actually can see the Galaxy Foil a bit better on this one here. But Zurin Orb is going to be your 0 mana artifact that you can sack a land and gain 2 life there. You know, a little bit of extra life gain if you've got a way to bring all of that stuff back. So all of them there deal with those sacking lands or bringing them back from your graveyard in the Crucible of Worlds view there. And for our extra card, we're going to see is going to be, oh, an island. Oh, okay. So this is from, I recognize this artwork there from one of the previous sets there. It's a nice island there. I wonder if all of them are going to be islands or if they're going to be different. And it looks like they're going to be different there because this one's going to be a mountain. So, you know, we might just have a bunch of these different ones there to be able to bring in. It's a nifty little one to be able to, you know, have as some extras there, but, you know, I dig it there. So all in all, like, I think that you really have to have a strategy where you are kind of sacrificing lands on the regular and bringing them back in order for you to really make use of these cards. And as I said, what do you know? The pre-con deck is essentially made around that. So I'm assuming that this next one, Deathburger, is going to be very similar, where it's probably going to go well with the Jeskai Robots deck, as opposed to the Jund Bug deck there. A little bit of Chandra, Nalar there. And starting off with, looks like a white card to begin with, so already we're kind of going in that one direction there, and it looks like we've got a little bit of Minotaur from previous one there, the Shapeshifter one that I'm not sure, I have, by the time that I'm recording this, I have not recorded opening up that pre-con deck there. At some point I will, but you know, it looks like they're getting a little bit more of their arts for it there. I'm imagining that we're probably also going to get more of the lands in this one as well. I mean, if we could get some more of the other ones, that would be fantastic, just so that I could complete out the set there. If not, I can always just purchase the singles there, because I doubt that they're going to be very expensive ones there, just because they are lands. There are some of the extra cards, but if every single one of these has it, it kind of makes sense. Who knows, maybe there's even wastes. But first off, we're going to get a little bit of the Aethersworn Canonist there. Because it's lighter, I can see the Galaxy foiling on the Galaxy foil quite a bit better there. Maybe you can as well. This is going to be a 1 and a white for a 2/2 artifact creature human cleric. With each player who has cast a non-artifact spell this turn can't cast additional non-artifact spells. Okay, so a bit of a floodgate there of, you know, if your opponent has cast any form of non-artifact spell, whether that be instant, sorcery, creature, enchantment, they can't play another one there. So, I mean, for 2 mana, that's a pretty decent floodgate to keep them from stopping doing that sort of thing there. So I think pretty influential in an artifact-heavy deck there. So that's interesting. Up next there, we're going right into red, so not even any blue here, so we'll have to see if there's any of those in here. But we're getting a little bit of Goblin Engineer, 1 in a red for a 1/2 Goblin Artificer. I can't really see much of the Galaxy foiling on the Galaxy foil itself unless I put in a very certain position for me. So maybe you'll be able to see it, maybe not, but when this creature ETBs, you may search your library for an artifact card, and you put it into your graveyard and then you shuffle. And you can pay 3 and tap this card to sack an artifact and return target artifact with mana value 3 or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if you've got a way to make some sort of token, whether it's a clue, whether it's food, probably not as much of a treasure or gold since they can produce mana, but some of the other ones, or just a really cheap one, or maybe even something like an Ichor Wellspring that when it dies it gives you benefit there, or a Sad Robot there, Solemn Simulacrum, so that you get to draw a card off of it there. That seems fine with it there. Seems to go good with all of the what do you call it there? Red in a deck for artifacts. And up next, it looks like we're going right into a little bit of Azorius there. So might have skipped over the blue before, but here we are. It definitely looks like it's supposed to go in that artifact deck. Dance of a Manse, X, white, and a blue for a sorcery with return up to X target artifacts and or non-aura enchantment cards, each with mana value X or less, from your graveyard to the battlefield. And if X is 6 or more, those permanents are 4/4 creatures in addition to their other types. So it depends, because if you want to get an artifact that is 6 mana or greater, then it has to come out as 4/4s, and it makes it a little bit easier for them to be removed because they become creatures there. So you have to be a little bit careful with that. Maybe you want to do it for a little bit of a lesser value if you've got artifacts that are of that lesser value, so that they don't become the creatures. It's really up to you. It depends on what sort of strategy you're going for there. But, an interesting one from Eldraine there. Up next, we're going to get a little bit of Arcbound Ravager. They are 2 mana for a 0/0 artifact beast, where you can sack another creature to put a +1/+1 on this creature, and it has modular 1, so when it ETBs with a +1/+1 counter on it there. And I believe we might have had a version of this in another Secret Lair set. So this might be the second time, at least, that it's been printed in here. It really has a little bit of that Kamigawa artwork on this one here, which is a bit interesting. The other ones didn't quite have that much there, though they are all drawn by the same person here of that Deathburger. But, I don't know, just feels a little bit strange that this one has a little bit more of a Kamigawa, or even just like a, what would you call it there, Cyberpunk 2077 vibes there, kind of, or gives me a little bit of the, I'm trying to remember what that one is called, Blade Runner there, kind of has a little bit of a Blade Runner vibe as well. Very interesting there for it, more artifacts to be able to get there. And it looks like our last one here for the normal ones is going to be a little bit of a Foundry Inspector. 3 mana for a 3/2 artifact creature construct, which just makes all of your artifact spells cost 1 less cheaper to cast, so a little bit more easy for you to cast stuff, especially if most of them are going to be colorless there. Pretty simple. It makes it pretty clear of what it's going to be, so that is exactly what it's going to be. I see the Galaxy foiling very, very clearly on this one here, but for our extra cards, we're going to be getting another mountain there, so a little bit of a duplicate there. So unfortunately, we can't get all new ones, and another mountain. So I'm not sure if they're just going to be mountains islands, or if I just got unlucky and got a bunch of mountains there. I'll have to look it up. Or, maybe they're going to be in other ones as well. But all in all, seems like it goes well with these ones for any sort of artifact deck that does have that Jeskai coloring in it there. And while I do enjoy the maybe more of those artifacts a bit more, for some reason I do like this Jund one a little bit more. It kind of feels like it goes a lot more cohesively with those ones there. But we're going to move on to our Latin American one here as well. Now, I did get some of the Spanish language ones as well as the Spanish foil, but I wanted to just open up these ones here that had everything in English, just so I would be able to read it, because unfortunately I am not bilingual in Espanol. I did take a little bit, like I'm probably sure most people did, in some form of their schooling career, to be like, oh yes, you know, like I took that year of Spanish or whatnot there. For me, I did a couple of years of Spanish, and I did a little bit of French. Mostly I did Japanese though. But I think that these ones here have some immense value in them for what they are providing, especially since you got so many cards out of them as well. And I'm glad that a lot of them went to, you know, as a fundraiser for things as well. So up first, we're going to get La Abuela Siempre Generosa, which is going to be a version of Tireless Provisioner there. Now, I don't exactly know what it means there. I'm assuming generosa means generous. La abuela is the grandmother there. Unfortunately, do not know siempre, so can't really translate that. 2 and a green for 3/2 Elf Scout landfall. Whenever a land you control ETBs, you create a food token or a treasure token there. Pretty darn good for a landfall effect there. I know that it was a popular one from Modern Horizons 2, and a lot of Modern Horizons cards are pretty darn good in and of themselves. So, I mean, to have another one there through this set is pretty good. Up next, we're going to get La Abundancia de Yucahu, which is going to be one of the big cards of this one here, because it is a Sylvan Library. That's right, it was an easy way for you to purchase a Sylvan Library. 1 and a green for an enchantment with at the beginning of your draw step, you may draw 2 additional cards. If you do, choose cards in your hand drawn this turn, and for each of those cards, pay 4 life, or you put it back on the top of your library. So it's a way for you to be able to draw a whole bunch, and you might be able to, you could pay some life to be able to keep them there, or you can just choose what you want to draw there. Very powerful draw effect in green here, and I'm assuming it's something along the lines of the Abundance of the Yucatan there. That is my guess for it, and you have, it looks like, some of the native people of the land going up the Yucatan River to be able to see all of the different abundances, if you will, along it there. But yes, Sylvan Library, this is a, I mean, all of these cards are beautiful there, but this one is especially powerful. And then up next, we are going to get Pastor de Selva, which I am not entirely sure what it is, if pastor means deer, anything of the like there, or if it's supposed to be some sort of elemental there. But in this case, it's going to be a copy of Ancient Green Warden there, 4 double green for a 5/7 elemental with reach. You can play lands from your graveyard, so this feels like it can go really well with that Jund deck that came out for Edge of Eternities. And if a land entering causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers an additional time. Basically, you double up on landfall triggers. Very good. There are plenty of commanders that deal with landfall triggers, like AC of Gyre Strait or Tatiova. There, Omnath, you know, all of these in green that have good landfall triggers there. So, you know, a good one there to be able to put in some of those. So, like I said, basically doubling up on landfall triggers. It's expensive, but it's green, so you're probably going to be able to ramp into it there. And next up, we're going to have an incredibly colorful La Danza del Pueblo. Sorry. La Danza del Pueblo. Wow. La Danza del Pueblo there. So the Dance of the Pueblo, which is going to be a card that was banned at one point, their expressive iteration. And this is definitely a card that is extremely expressive there. It is so colorful, absolutely gorgeous. It's probably my favorite art of this Secret Lair set. And it's also blue-red, so it's also my favorite color, so maybe I'm a little bit biased on this one here. But blue and red, sorcery, look at the top 3 cards of your library. One of them goes to your hand, one of them goes to the bottom of your library, and you exile the last one there, and you may play the exiled card this turn. Very good, super cheap, and You don't get to, the only thing your opponents get to see is the one exiled card there, which, I mean, hopefully you get to play, but, you know, you get to do a lot of digging with this one here. Very, very good card. And up next, we are going to get La Madre Tierra. So I'm going to guess that's something along the lines of Mother Terra there, you know, like Mother Earth, which is going to be a version of Xenagos, God of Revels. Pretty darn good green and red commander there. 6/5 legendary enchantment creature god with indestructible. As long as your devotion to red and green is less than 7, La Madre Tierra isn't a creature. And at the beginning of combat on your turn, another target creature you control gains haste and gets +X/+X until end of turn, where X is that creature's power. Meaning, if you brought in one creature there prior to this, you can give it haste, make it really big to swing in there. And you can do that even if this isn't a creature there. But green and red, you're probably ramping a whole lot. You're probably going to get a lot of creatures out there. It's a pretty darn good commander there. It's got indestructible back from the original Theros trio block there. And again, this has some very gorgeous artwork and coloring there of the dark purples and blacks up in the sky, accented by all of the moonlight and stars, whereas you got a lot of the earthy colors and the brights, reds and yellows, blues, greens and whatnot, forming up the earth there to show that she knows all because she is all. Very good text on that one there. Another very beautiful card. Up next of this little set there, we're going to have the Chancla Relampago there. Relampago is going to be lightning, and Chancla is the type of shoe that they have there. Very characteristic of Latin American mothers there, using them to hit their children with it there. It's like a little bit like a flip-flop, but very similar. You know, lightning greaves go well with it there. Amazing artifact that is in a lot of decks there. It usually keeps a whole lot of value with it because it's so playable. 2 mana for equipment that has an equip cost of 0, which is why it stays so long. It doesn't cost anything to move it from this creature to that creature to that creature there whenever you need it. Gives them haste, so if you play the creature, you can attack in with it. Gives it Shroud, you can protect it there. So you can move it to one creature that you entered in. They have haste, so you can either tap them for whatever thing you need, or you can attack in with it there, and then you can move this afterwards to protect something. Always very good. And I mean, it even is talking about the beating their kids up there with, come back, I just want to talk. Yeah, definitely just want to talk. Up next, another one that always keeps some sort of value there. Soul Ring, you know, it's basically in almost every single commander deck there. Very good. As I mean, the Ixalan block is very heavily based off of all of that Central American, Latin American roots there with the conquistadores and the people that are there, as well as the dinosaurs. You know, this has big kind of Mayan or Incan types of artwork there. I don't know the difference between the two. I know that there is a difference, though. But, you know, amazing card. Different versions of it always go very well, so we'll definitely take that. And we're also going to be getting some tokens here. First off is going to be this food one that has a bunch of different types of food that you can get in the markets that are grilled up, as well as some bottled drinks, since they have a lot of those there. But, you know, see a little bit of fried banana. This one is wrapped up in banana leaves, it looks like there. Maybe a little bit of shaved ice as well. But all in all, you know, fun little food there. And it looks like it's showing some of them. Choritos, tamales, carnizadas, churros, empanadas there. So very fun food. And we are also going to have, for our last regular card, Treasure, looking at all of the pictures of the family on the wall. And, you know, your memories are something that you treasure, and being able to reflect back on your family, your friends, and what they mean to you and how much they've influenced your lives is something that is very precious, there, much like a treasure. So I think that this is a very, very characteristic treasure that probably will go unappreciated there or underrated for a while, but I think it is very amazing. And for our extra card, we are going to get, and it looks like they're probably going to be the same here, and it is La Viene al Coco there. Unfortunately, I do not know what that will translate to, but it is going to be a Tybalt's Trickery there. It looks like it's probably some sort of myth or trying to remember what those are called, the kind of like cryptids. Yeah, it looks like it could potentially be a cryptid or like a scary story there. It's going to be 1 and a red, an instant counter target spell. A counter spell in red, very unusual there. That's why it's always been seen as pretty good. Choose 1, 2, or 3 at random. Its controller mills that many cards and exile cards from the top of their library until they exile a non-land card with different name from that spell. They cast that card without paying its mana cost, and they put the exiled cards on the bottom of their library in a random order. So you really want to do this on something that you think that they're going to win with there so that they get something that's not quite as good there. All in all, like a red counterspell is just so uncommon there that I think Tybalt's Trickery is always going to be just a random, good, interesting card in and of it there. Oops, I just put so many of those in different orders. But all in all, a lot of cards that you got from this one here. They are gorgeous, they are powerful, and I think that, and I believe that they invoke very, very heavy good cultural significance for Latin America, and I'm very, very glad that they ended up making that there. And going from that there, we are going to go into the Sonic the Hedgehog crossover that they ended up doing here. Now, they put some interesting things. Looks like they are gluing these ones down. Has a little bit of careful, where's the fun in that? Some of the rings that you get from Sonic. These ones seem very easy to open up. All right. Now, I do know that these have, in most cases, a command tower for them there, but they do have the chance of providing a lotus petal in the shape of a chaos emerald there, which would be very, very nice to get. They're not the most expensive ones there, just because there are so many different versions of them there, of like the secret cards there, but hey, you know, it's always nice to get them. So first up, we're going to get Knuckles Gloves, which is going to be a an alternate art there of Reaver Cleaver. 2 and a red there for legendary artifact equipment. Equips for 3. Equipped creature gets +1/+1, has trample, and when it deals combat damage to a player or planeswalker, you create that many treasure tokens there. So it kind of gives them the ability of, maybe it's not Goldspan Dragon. I know that Ancient Copper Dragon is you roll the d20 there, but being able to create plenty of treasure tokens is very, very nice there. You've got Dr. Eggman trying to take away the Master Emerald from Knuckles, who, you know, protects it there. And it looks like there's another Chaos Emerald in the back there as well. Knuckles Gloves, time for a Knuckles Sandwich. Makes sense. Up next there, we are going to get Shadow's Air Shoes there, which are going to be Swiftfoot boots. You know, pretty equivalent there to the Lightning Greaves that we had. This time that's different, though. It's 2 mana, just like Lightning Greaves is to play. However, this has an equipped cost of 1, so it's not quite as good as bringing it around. The difference, though, is, well, it does give hexproof there as an artifact. It does give haste, but it gives hexproof instead of shroud. So you are able to target your own guy with these ones equipped, while you can't do them as much with Lightning Greaves there. So, you know, different things that you can do with them there, but always a very good one as well, because being able to haste them out, give them protection, is very good for cheap. And then up next, we're going to get the egg hammer there on one of these egg robots, which is going to be a mirror battle sphere. You know, I don't necessarily see a lot of these guys coming together, so I'm not too sure why they chose Mirror Battlesphere as this one as opposed to something else there. But, you know, it is what it is. 7 mana for a 4/7 artifact creature mirror construct. When it ETBs, you create 4 1/1 colorless mirror creature tokens, artifact creature tokens. Whenever this attacks, you may tap X untapped mirror you control, and if you do, this creature gets +X/+O until end of turn, and it deals 3 damage to the player or planeswalker it's attacking. Pretty simple there. If you play with a lot of other mirrors, you can do it there. You know, token doublers there, you can get it up. You know, you could sacrifice them in some sort of aristocrat style there since you get so many for the value there. You know, up to you on how you want to use it. You're also going to get Amy's Pico Pico Hammer, which is going to be a Hammer of Nazan. 4 mana for a legendary artifact equipment with equip cost of 4. But whenever Pico Pico Hammer or another artifact you control ETBs, you may attach that equipment to target creature you control. So it's very, very good of being able to skip out on those equip costs. The equipped creature that gets this, though, has +2/+O and indestructible, so makes it a little bit harder for it to get rid of. All in all, you know, it's a very, very good card in a Voltron strategy where you're trying to get a bunch of equipments out there because artifacts not as easy to get rid of as creatures there, and if you can equip stuff for free, man, that makes it pretty good. After that, we are going to get a little bit of Power Sneakers, which is going to be another Lightning Greaves. They do very much like to print this here. We've had several of these printed, but they're always a good one there, and people love getting extra copies of them to put in their various decks or have different versions of them. So for Sonic's Power Sneakers here, like we said before, 2 mana, 2 mana to play it, artifact equipment, 0 cost to equip, has haste and shroud. Very, very good one there. Keep on going on into a Tornado Sonic's Biplane, which is going to be a copy of the Weatherlight there. I always thought it was Tails' biplane, so I'm a little bit confused, but I don't know Sonic lore that much, so who knows? 4 mana for a 4/5 legendary artifact vehicle there with crew 3, so have to tap 3 power worth of creatures to be able to make this into a creature. It's got flying, and whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you look at the top 5 cards of your library, you may reveal a historic card from among them, put into your hand, and the rest go onto the bottom of your library in any order. So being able to get some more cards there for you. And historic card, if you don't know, there is going to be a legendary creature, a artifact, or a saga there. So, you know, it's good and decent there. Not my first pick on what I would do, but it has its value there. And if we have something that makes a token, it would not make sense if we didn't have the token to go along with it here. So here we are for a little bit of egg pawns to be able to go along with this here. They're going to be the 1/1 token artifact creature mirrors that you're able to create. Pretty basic that you'd be able to get them with it there. And we are going to get the Master Emerald Shrine, which, as we said, is going to be a command tower. You know, very, very good one there in any commander deck that you have. Taps for 1 mana of any color in your commander's identity there. So getting that one there, you know, always can use more flavors of it there. Always going to have some sort of usage there. And we're going to get another one on there. So unsurprising there. I don't think that we're going to be getting any Chaos Emeralds, though I would definitely enjoy getting one there, especially on camera. But, you know, some nifty little artifacts that we got along in that one there. Up next, we're going to be getting Chasing Adventure, which is going to have my favorite artwork in the Sonic ones here. I have to say, I don't know if they changed it with these ones here because I did not feel it with the Edge of Eternity ones, but the ease in which to open these up is a lot easier. Hedgehog's got to do what Hedgehog's got to do. Alrighty, take a look at some of this artwork here. one, and gonna get our foil here. Alrighty, so starting us off, we're going to get a little bit of our generous gift there. Nice little white removal there. 2 and a white instant, destroy target permanent. Its controller creates a 3/3 green elephant creature token there. Now, I am assuming that these are the little animals that Sonic is rescuing from all of the machines that Eggman has them in, which I guess I probably would have preferred instead of this kind of like jump pad or starting pad there. Maybe it's a crate that was holding them hostage in there. If it is, that would be pretty good there. Break it open and they come out there with the elephant. Seems pretty nice. And because this destroys target permanent, it's very versatile, can get rid of absolutely any type. It's not creature, it's not artifact, it's not enchantment, it's any type of permanent there. So it's a very good removal. You know, a little bit more expensive on the 3, but being able to target anything kind of makes up for it, especially since it's an instant. Up next, we're also going to get Open the Armory with Amy there reaching for her Pico Pico hammer there. 1 and a white, sorcery, search a library for an aura or equipment, reveal it, and you put in your hand and shuffle there. So you get to put up one thing that you want there. Again, very, very good in a Voltron style type of deck there. And the other one was the Pico Pico hammer. So, I mean, synergizes very well with both of the Amy looking cards here. So certainly we'll take those. Up next, we're going to get Fabricate there. Nice little, another type of search effect here. Fabricate 2 and a blue for sorcery. You search your library for an artifact, reveal it, put it in your hand and shuffle. So you get absolutely any type. It's not just an equipment there, though Open the Armory helps you get auras as well. So, you know, different types there for you to be able to get. You've got Tails there working on the plane, which again is why I thought that it was Tails' plane and not Sonic's plane. But who knows there. Definitely will take that. Gonna get Shadow here with an emerald there, doing a little bit of chaos control. 1 and a black for an instant with, as an additional cost to cast this, you sack an artifact or creature, which lets you draw 2 cards and create a treasure token there. Pretty darn good for only 2 mana there. If you've got a way to copy it there, then, you know, you're still only sacrificing 1 thing, but you could draw 4 cards and get 2 treasures. Pretty nice deal for 2 mana, if you would say. And, you know, Shadow's got to be edgy as ever. He is the ultimate life form, if you know what I mean. And, again, one of my favorite cards coming up here with Knuckles the Echidna on it and the Master Emerald in the background is going to be Unexpected Windfall, one of my favorite cards to copy because it is very similar to Deadly Dispute. 2 and 2 red for an instant. As an additional cost to cast a spell, you discard a card there, so you don't have to give up something on your field, but you get to draw 2 cards and create 2 treasure tokens. So, you know, different ways to go about doing things there. Could use this for your, you know, Madness deck there if you run something like Angie Falconroth or anything else that makes you discard cards to get some benefit there. Getting some extra cards, getting some extra treasures is always nice, especially when I use it in my duplicating effects there of being able to replicate this 3, 4, or 5 times where it's just like, yeah, I'll discard this 1 card from my hand and then get, you know, 10 cards and 10 treasures for 4 mana. Pretty insane. And up next, my favorite artwork from the whole Sonic one here is going to be the Soul Ring there. I think that the ring that is around him, especially in this foiling, is gorgeous there. Unfortunately, was not able to get more than just these singular copies of them there, but I'll make do with having them there in the collection. As we saw earlier, Soul Ring, 1 mana, artifact, taps for 2 colorless mana. Absolutely insane value, always going to be good there. We'll absolutely take it. And we're going to finish up with a treasure token, which couldn't be anything other than a ring there. I mean, we get treasure tokens being distributed off of Deadly Dispute as well as Unexpected Windfall. So being able to have that in there is absolutely helpful. I think it's wonderful there. It's a great treasure token there. And are we going to get lucky? Oh my God, we got lucky. Oh, I did not think that we were going to get that lucky, but we ended up getting it there. Oh my gosh. I don't know. Is this the Master Emerald because it's green there? I was not expecting that. Oh my goodness. Well, the reason why I was only able to get 1 copies of each of these is these did sell out, so I had to get these from another provider. So the provider that sold this to me ended up selling it to me with the Chaos Emerald, obviously, you know, unbeknownst to them, but oh my gosh. That certainly makes up for the extra cost I'd have to spend to be able to get these here. And I don't think that we're getting another one here. No, it's another Master Emerald Shrine, but getting a Chaos Emerald is so sick there. Oh my gosh. And to open it up on here, that is gnarly. Oh my God, that's so cool. Oh, I don't know if these have different numbers there for it or if they're all going to be the same number. But hey, you know, if I want to max out the collection, now I don't have to pay some extra money to get an extra one of those. Oh boy. I'm just so excited. Like, that is amazing to get there. Oh boy. Well, I guess we're going on to the last one there after getting that amazing one. Kind of wish that was the last one that I opened up there. Oh yeah, this is happening with Sonic. Oh, getting a Chaos Emerald from these is so fucking sick. It's so fucking sick. I didn't even go over what it does. Here, let me just open these up there and we can go over it there. Chaos Emerald is a Lotus Petal. It's 0 mana to play, like Black Lotus there. It's an artifact. You can tap it, sacking the artifact to add 1 mana of any color there. If you have some way of being able to play artifacts from your graveyard there, like you can just play artifacts from your graveyard, like with, I don't know. No, it's, I was going to say like Underworld Breach, but you have to pay additional things with the escape cost of it there, but it is 0 mana to play to just tap this to get 1 mana there. Absolutely insane pull there. I'm feeling so blessed today. I did other videos recording on this here and I got really good luck, so I guess today is my lucky day for all of this stuff here. Oh, absolutely fantastic. I don't think I'm going to get another one, but if I did, I'm going to do like a good crash out there, if you know what I mean. So starting off there, all of these friends and foes are going to be brand new, mechanically unique cards there. So they all do only what they do. No other card does them. These aren't reskins of other things. We have Super State there, which is going to be 7 colorless for a legendary enchantment aura. You enchant creature you control. Its base power and toughness are 9/9, and they have flying, first strike, trample, and haste. Give them a bunch of keywords, big power and toughness. When the enchanted creature deals combat damage to an opponent, it deals that much damage to each other opponent there. So it also kind of gives a little bit of Saskia effect there. So, you know, potentially, I don't know if that's something that, I think Saskia is you just target an opponent and when it deals damage to them, it deals that much damage to all of the other, or if you deal damage to a different person, it deals the damage to them as well. So it kind of has that effect there of instead dealing damage to one of them, deals it to all of them there. I wonder if that goes along with, I don't know if technically it would do that in commander damage there, because you could potentially try to get 21 into a particular opponent there to try to KO them and then do that to all of the other ones. I'll have to look up to see if that's the case there, but, you know, they're all mechanically unique and they're cool. Knuckles the Echidna, 2 double red there for a 2/4 legendary Echidna warrior, adding in a new type there of Echidna. Double strike, trample, and haste there, giving them a lot of keywords there. Whenever one or more creatures you control deals combat damage to a player, you create a treasure token, which is also kind of insane there because it does have trample there. Unfortunately, it is one or more. It's not for each time you do it, so you can only get a max of one treasure token there. Treasure Hunter at the beginning of your upkeep. If you control 30 or more artifacts, you win the game there. Alternate win con there. You know, trying to potentially maybe even get a bunch of treasure tokens, kind of like Revel in Riches there. You know, a thought there of trying to maybe get that as an alternate win con. Got Amy Rose there, 2, a red and a white, 3/3 legendary Hedgehog Warrior. So now Hedgehogs are also in here as well. Haste, whenever Amy Rose attacks, you attach up to 1 target enchantment to her. Then up to 1 other target attacking creature gets +X/+O until in a turn where X is Amy Rose's power. So it has that same sort of Voltron effect there, that the equipment and the equipment of the Nazon's hammer, as well as the sorcery to get them there, kind of goes very well along with her, which I think is very good for it there. And honestly, the what was it? The Knuckles gloves giving something trample and giving them the ability to make that many treasure tokens goes very well with his treasure making strategy there. I think that they really thought out these ones there on how they kind of go well together. Up next, we're going to have Dr. Eggman, 2 blue, black, and red for a 3/6 legendary human scientist with flying. At the beginning of your end step, you draw a card. Drawing cards always nice. Then each opponent faces a villainous choice. They either discard a card, or they allow you to put a construct, robot, or vehicle from your hand onto the battlefield. Now, in most cases, they're just going to discard a card there because allowing you to put something out there is pretty insane there for free. The goal would then be to try to get it so that their hands are down to nothing so they can't discard cards there. But, you know, at most, you're having people discard up to 3 at the end of your turn while you're drawing a card. I know it's not the most powerful, but it's not too shabby there. Interesting that they have these out of color order there. Up next, we're going to get Miles Tails Prower, miles per hour there. 1, a white and a blue for a 3/1 legendary Fox Artificer. Fox still being a normal type here, so that doesn't change anything. Scientist might not be, but I don't really know kind of the obscure types, but this is going to have flash, so you can get it in really quick there. Flying, and whenever a vehicle you control ETBs, you draw a card if it has flying. Otherwise, you put a flying counter on it there. So vehicle with flying on it, you get to draw a card. If it doesn't, then it gets flying there. So you want this in a lot of vehicle decks there. Fabricate lets you get them there. Goes well with Tails there, and then the Weatherlight has flying on it as a vehicle, so you get to put it out there. And Tails has 3, so it's able to pilot it. So again, they thought these out very, very well. Shadow, probably one of the most exciting ones from this here. Double black, double red for a 4/2 legendary Hedgehog Mercenary with haste. Whenever it or another creature you control with flash or haste dies, you get to draw a card. So a little bit of aristocrat strategy there. And it also has chaos control. Each spell you cast has split second if mana from an artifact was spent to cast it, like from the Chaos Emerald perchance there. But that's also an insane thing where you just make it so your opponents can't interact with it going onto the stack there. It goes and then it's played. So giving the thing split second is insane, and then just being able to draw a card when something with haste or flash dies is also pretty darn cool. Lastly up, we're going to get Sonic the Hedgehog there in the Jeskai there of 1 blue, red, and white for a 2/4, very opposite of Shadow. Legendary Hedgehog Warrior with haste. Gotta go fast. Whenever Sonic the Hedgehog attacks, you put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control with flash or haste. Flash and haste seems kind of familiar there. But also Amy Rose and Tails and Knuckles can all go in this there. makes it really simple for them to go in, just as much as Shadow is able to go into Eggman. Knuckles is also able to go into Eggman there, which I'm not sure about that there, if that's some sort of lore reason for it. But whenever a creature you control with Flash or Haste is dealt damage, you create a tapped treasure token. Another very good thing. You know, you're making your things with Flash or Haste big, but whenever they take damage, you create a tapped treasure token. So if you've got a way to ping things there, a whole bunch there, well, you can get a whole lot. You activate Blasphemous Act there, and it hits a bunch of your stuff there. Well, that's dealing damage to them there. So even though things may die, you're creating treasure tokens for each of them there, which are going to be in that previous one. And now the big question is, are we going to get lucky? Nope, another Master Emerald Shrine. And as for this one here, another Master Emerald Shrine. I mean, we got one, which is kind of the big news of it all there. But I do think this is a really, really good batch of stuff there. I'm glad that they made the mechanically unique cards go very, very well with the ones that match up with them there. And these were nice there. Definitely prefer these ones. So of these 6, this is probably the ones that I enjoy the least. I still think that they're good there. And I think that these ones, the Central American ones, are absolutely wonderful. All in all, they did very, very well with these there. I can't complain. Plus, we got a Master Emerald, Chaos Emerald. So, yeah, I'm wishing this sort of luck to you with whatever it is you're up to. Please join me back again to hopefully get some more insane luck. Until then, though, please take care of yourself. I'll see you later.